Peace and blessings. My name is Carlos Walker, and this is Art and Hustle, Black Authors Matter. And today I have Battle Chi with me. Peace and blessings, bro. How you doing?
What's good, man? How you doing, man? Yeah, good
Man,
morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to
look,
be here.
enjoying life. Look, so before we start, I want you to do something for me. Share who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Isaac Lee Jr. or Isaac Lee Edwards Jr. I'm from Austin, Texas. I am a comic book producer, creator. I am the owner of my own, publishing company known as Battle Chi Comics. I have many different series, such as my most popular series known as the Black Fist, my main series known as Battle Chi. I got Shockster, New Tokyo Ninja, and then many more to come. All these characters exist within the same universe. And so, like, really, what I'm doing is I'm just creating this whole, universe of like characters and stories that's gonna add up and lead up to something crazy. So, but yeah,
Okay, so my first question for you is, what made you start doing what you're doing now?
I love this question. This is probably one of my favorite questions. Like, what got me started though? So, like, I can say like, so it all started when I was a kid. I was like 5, 6 years old. You remember Super Mario 64? You remember that
Yes,
game, right? That game
yes.
was tough. That game was tough. It was like I used to, like, as a kid, I used to be obsessed with Mario. Mario was like, that was like my thing. People had Sonic. I like Sonic. Sonic was cool. I eventually got to Sonic though. You know what I mean? But Mario, I was obsessed with everything that was Mario. I was a Mario kid. Like, that was me.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make my own Super Mario game, and like, I went up to my mom. I was like, I want to make my own Super Mario game. She's like, well, write it down. So I started writing down like the ideas of like what my game would look like and how the boss fights would go, and characters and all of that. Though, and then I realized I was like, I really like writing. And so originally I wanted to make a I wanted to make a video game. That's how it all started. And then I started getting into like, like acting, thespians and all that type of stuff though. And I was like, I want to write playwrights. And then I was like, sorry, my nose is stuffed, but allergies got a
You
hold of
okay?
me.
You okay?
But what's it called? And then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to make movies. And really, that's the main goal. This is the reason why I make comic books. So around 2014, I officially made the real decision to actually be like, okay, let's sit down and let's actually, start working on this universe. You know what I mean? Because before that, I was working on something, but I was kind of being really inconsistent with it and not really like caring so much. And I was like, had other things going on. But 2014 was like, okay, like I was taking the dump. Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yeah, man, go
Oh, okay,
in.
yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I was taking a shit. I was taking a shit. I was taking a shit. Came up with the idea of a series that like is my most is my main series, which is Battle Chi, which I'm gonna be re-releasing pretty soon. And I was like, that's not a bad idea. I didn't call it Battle Chi then. It was called something totally different. And then from there, eventually, throughout like 2014 to now, I came up with like quite a few stories, released some stories that people see right now. And I want to say that's pretty much like kind of how I got started. You know what I mean? But yeah.
So, out of all because it's one universe, it's just different parts to it. Out of all of
Yeah.
them, which one is your, I guess, your most profound one, the one that you grasp to the most?
So the Blackfist is like I love the Blackfist. It's one of my favorite stories though, but my main story, Battle Chi, that's the one. Like
That's your baby.
especially whenever I re-release it, that's that's the one that hits closest to me though, just because of the main character. The main character is kind of like a essentially in a way a self-insert of me. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So, if you will, explain Battle Chi.
Yeah, so Battle Chi is about a universal legend known as the Chi. They have been reincarnating alongside their counter opposite known as Sin, and they've been fighting in every single lifetime due to this altercation that they had in their very first past life. But
Mm,
now the cycle is recycled. They're here on Earth, and the universe needs to chi to break this curse. So that's like a real quick rundown. But what is battle chi? Battle chi are people that can manipulate the energy within their chakras. I call their chakras battle chakras, and they're able to exhilarate a crazy amount of powers and abilities and combinations of powers and abilities. But the chi and their counter opposite, known as sin, are the only two battle chi in the entire universe that can use the full potential of that power known as battle chi. Kind of like how the Avatar is the master of all four elements. There's other benders, there's other battle chi, but there's only two that can use the full potential of it, if that makes sense.
This is fire. This is fire. So,
Thank you.
Black Fist.
Black Fist. Yeah, so Black Fist right now is my most popular series. Before I tell you about what it's about, I do want to say that so since it takes place in the 1960s, essentially in my universe, this is like the dawn of superheroes. Like, you know what I mean? This is where everything starts. And that's the reason why I placed it in my timeline. I also do want to say that the Black Fist, the main character, Isaac Johnson, is a fictional version of my father. And a lot of the lore behind it comes from like that this section of the Battle Chi universe. When it comes to the Black Fist, a lot of the lore actually comes from my childhood. Me and my brother used to play pretend like we were Super Isaac and Super JJ, and then my brother would have these dreams that would align with like our fantasy that we created up as kids, you know what I mean? And these dreams would happen in episodes, and it was like a TV show in his brain, and he started writing this down. And so we talked about it as we got older. He was like, I was like, I kind of want to use this stuff that we have, when we were kids. He was like, yeah, let's use it. And so, so pretty much like the Black Fist has like a lot of lore that has been adopted from my childhood and from my brother's dreams that he's written down in his book. So, and on occasion, you still will have these dreams as an adult too, every now and then. So and it's updated too, because like in the dreams now we're adults. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting. But the Black Fist, yes, the most popular series in the Battle Chi universe at the moment. So the Black Fist is about talking about Battle Chi. The Black Fist is about Earth's first superhero that unfortunately piques the interest of a KKK Grand Wizard that fears he's a danger to the world and to his community. Some unfortunate events do take place to where that Grand Wizard is unfortunately granted an ability to rival the power of the Black Fist, then is able to share those abilities with the rest of his clan, causing an absolute catastrophic event within America that would definitely have us cook for real. But yeah, that's like a real quick rundown of what the Black Fist is about, though. But yeah.
What made you? And I know it's Isaac is based off your father.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it has something to do with his past and give or take, or something that he has seen. But then too, what made you use the clan?
Well, man, so when it comes to the clan, I was like, honestly, like whenever I was writing this, I want to say, because like when it comes to like the whole racist backlash and everything that's been coming after me, I knew I was going to get it because it's a controversial story. I didn't think it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be this much. I was like, oh, but like at the same time, they make me money, so it's like the races are helping me out. They don't know that though, but they help.
Appreciate y'all.
But the reason why I wanted to do the clan, I was like, I ain't never seen a story where the clan gets superpowers, and I thought that shit would be funny as hell. Like it would be funny as hell and interesting, because it's just like I mean it would be terrifying. I wouldn't want to see clan members like you know what I mean, get superpowers though. But like I thought it would make the story interesting. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like I'm a huge fan of Man of Steel. This is the other reason why I made the Black Fist, is because like or it's just Superman in general though. But when it comes to like Lex Luthor, I was like, okay, what would happen if I made like a Superman-like character, kind of like Superman, I guess you can say, but in the 1960s, and I had created a Lex Luthor, someone who hated him so much, but he happened to be a white supremacist. And so I was like, all right, I got it. And so I was like, that's going to be his first villain, just because I feel like it would just make sense. You know what I mean? He's just a black dude doing his thing, in the 1960s. But like, especially during that time, and even now, a lot of people will like, because of what the government has really just pumped into our brains, that like people will take that and they look at us like we're like a subhuman or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? And they look at the Black Fist, he has all this power and he's, you know, he's saving people though, but because of the darker pigmentation of his skin, people fear him. Like, you know what I mean? They fear him like even more because he's black. But really he's just a dude just trying to do the right thing, just save people, help people out. But no one sees that. They don't see that. And, you know, it's kind of unfortunate. So it's just like a superhero doing his thing, but you know, racism gets in the way. You ever heard of that saying? It's just like you're never really lonely. There's always going to be a white person all up in your business. That's essentially what the blackness is doing, because that's like the Klan just being like, God, we hate this goddamn Negro, man. you know what I mean, though. But you know, I'm just yapping. Man. Sorry.
One, I want to thank you for being not just an author, but for every stage that you went through going through this journey, because it's amazing to see people who are creatively using things that they have seen in their minds, whether it's your brother or you just being adapt to be able to use your past and bring it to life to fight stigmatizations, number one, to fight racism. You're doing this through your art. And for me being an author myself and an artist, I tip my hat to you because you have chose to use your power, because this is a superpower. I want you to understand this isn't just a gift or something that you just good at. No, it's a superpower. And everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't have it, and everybody is not brave enough to use their gifts to fight the things of this world. So technically you are the superhero in your story. You are a superhero in many other people's stories, even those that might be fighting against you or coming or giving you the backlash. They don't realize that they're bringing this thing to life to help the world mature. And because of you being brave or having the courage enough to do it, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people that they wouldn't have the courage to put this out. I thank you, man. That's what number one, the reason why I want to do this.
To put it out.
I want to be able to give you your flowers and let you know that this is powerful.
Thank you.
And what you're doing is needed.
Thank you. That actually means a lot. I appreciate that. I really do.
So now the question is, some of the backlash you have had, how has it made you feel?
I'll be 100% transparent with you. So like in the very beginning, not gonna lie, like when I'm making content, I'm starting to grow, but then I started getting this like weird, like, you know, racist backlash, and I didn't know how to handle it at first. You know what I mean? Because it's just like it got overwhelming and like overstimulating, and I was like freaking out. Like that's how it was when I first started. But then, you know, the one thing that I've always been good at is like I'm always good at turning negatives into positives. And I was like, you know what, like I got to be doing something right. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm getting all of these people coming at me, like, you know what I mean? Because that's the whole thing when it comes to like, you know, marketing and like, you know, getting your stuff out to people. What I'm realizing, I'm getting people talking. People are talking.
That's
it.
You
know what I mean? And people are, you know, boosting my algorithm. And once I started realizing that, I just turned that version of me off, and I was like, I can fuck it. You know what I mean? And so and I just stopped giving a fuck. And whenever it comes to like me like responding to racism and all these races and things like that, people are like, oh, you're nitpicky. No, I'm just showing you like
I'm showing you what it is, what it's like.
Actually see us, and like the ignorance, because a lot of people, and I'm talking about specific, racist white people, you know what I mean? They don't necessarily know that they're being racist because racism is so normalized today. Like, you know what I mean? It's so normalized. It's ingrained in their brains. It's at the dinner table. You know what I mean? And it's just like they hear it every single day and they process it though, and they don't really. Whenever it comes out, they're just, you know what I mean? They don't realize it. And so like that's kind of the reason why I pointed out. And people come at me, hey, he's not being racist. He's not being racist. And I'm over here just like, okay, Chuck. Like you know what I mean? But yeah, like it doesn't really bother me as much. At times it can get overwhelming. Just because like I get sometimes I get overstimulated, you know what I mean? Being neurodivergent, you know, all that kind of stuff though. So it's just like I'm like, but like most of the time I'm, you know, I don't really give a fuck no more. I just fucking do this shit. So
Next question
yeah.
is, how has the journey been? Because how many comic books would you say you have sold? Have you
So my best friend, who's also like my business partner, he actually has all the stats.
logistics and stuff?
Yeah, but I want to say like of 2025, which essentially the end of 2024 and 2025, that was like my year one as like this business, like, you know, like actually making sales like legitimately and all that kind of stuff. So close to 2000.
Congrats.
So, and I want to say that, you know, that's pretty good just starting out, because there's people that have trouble selling just one, two. But like I went to a whole bunch of conventions. I sold a lot on the TikTok shop. I think I sold up like over 600 books on the TikTok shop. And then my website started, you know, getting more attraction. So like I started making a lot more sales off my website. But I want to say if I didn't sell 2000, I was pretty damn close. Like I'm just underselling 2000. But I gotta go ask Josh and be like, hey, like you got my stats, because he'll usually like tell me like at the end of, you know, every month, like, hey, this is how much you sold, this is how much you made. He handles a lot of the stuff behind the scenes and all that though. So
Shout out to Josh.
yeah,
Appreciate you.
Josh.
And what I want you to do, because I might need to gain some information, because you have a plethora of information now.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years, especially whether it's using TikTok shop or anything. I would tell you to consider sharing information, because what happens, your voice becomes louder. You know how to actually use these platforms to make money. Other authors need to be able to know this, because what happens, you being a plethora of information, you also now can do workshops. You can do this because you understand something that most people who have never sold, they say most authors in their lifetime only sell up to 250 books in their lifetime. You've exceeded this almost by 4. No, I'm wrong, by 10. So what I want to do, I want to congratulate you once again on the success that you have done, because this shows not only that is it needed or wanted, but how people will actually purchase your material. But you can teach this. So congratulations, bro, on just being willing to put it out there, believe in it, and selling 2,000 copies or better, or just slightly less. It doesn't matter. You're moving. That's a movement. So, next question. Where do you want to see? We'll just say in a year. What do you want to be able to see done through the comic books or comic books? And what's some of the steps to getting there?
Yeah. So I guess I got a few things. One of the things is like, you know, getting at least finishing the first volume of the Black Fist, because like we're working on issue number 4 right now. Issue number 4 is looking beautiful right now. Issue number 4 is looking insane, looking like it's looking great. So finishing issue number 4 and 5 this year. Other thing would be to finish issue. We're almost done with issue number 1 of Battle Chi, because I rewrote it, and you know, so like we're almost done with issue number 1, and then I want to get issue number 2 and 3 done, which that's going to complete that volume of Battle Chi. And and then on the other end is getting more animated, like animations done. Like, you know what I mean? So like I definitely want to get a new Battle Chi animation I want to get another Blackface animation. I want to get a Shockster animation and
Mhm.
a new Tokyo Ninja animation. I think really this year though, I'm only really going to be able to get to a Battle Chi animation, and just because the popularity of the Blackfish, I definitely got to get another Blackfish animation, and then eventually I'll get a new Tokyo Ninja and Shockster if I can this year though. But kind of just depends. So like really, like one of the steps that to get there is to try to relaunch another Kickstarter.
Mhm.
Um, because most of the time I'm funding everything out of my own pocket.
I was
Like,
just
you know what
about
I
to
mean?
ask that question. I
Yeah,
appreciate you
like
locking
I
in.
fund everything out of my own pocket. Like for years, to like what I was doing, I don't do it right now. But like I was working as a like for TxDOT traffic. You know, I was working in traffic management control. I was a dispatcher, and I did that. Hated that job. Did it for 3 years, but just about every other paycheck was going to my art because like a lot of this art has been out for years, and you know I'm 2020 like 4 and 5 is like the main years where I started like marketing everything though. So pretty much like grinded at my job and just like I didn't really have much money to do anything. Like you know what I mean? I was sacrificing fun, going to the club, and I did go to the club. It's not like I went to the club. I didn't go to the club, but I went to the club. I had my fun, but like I got to a point where I was just like, okay, like my art's more important. Like you know what I mean?
Come on.
I could go out there do all that though, but like I decided to put all my money to my art, where I didn't really have money for anything. I was just check artists. Artists were they were finishing the pages. Be like, all right, every 2 weeks, I'm gonna let you guys know you guys are getting paid. They give me their pages. I just pay them, and there we go. And we going from there. So um, and it's tough. And then it became that, and then doing Uber and Lyft, DoorDash, just to get pages done, all that kind of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So,
This is
and
the
now you know I use the money that I make now. Like, you know what I mean? So, but I definitely need to get some funding. Because I feel like it would just help. I always just feel bad about asking people for money, and I feel like it's kind of like, and I know I shouldn't feel bad, you know what I mean? But like I always feel bad. That's like my thing. Like I don't want to ask people for money. Like,
Let
but
me
like,
share something with you, bro.
yeah.
The rich use other people's money to get rich.
You said say that one more time. I'm sorry.
The rich use other people's money to get rich. I want you to take that in. What I want you to know, this isn't just about you getting rich. This is your legacy. And I understand the feeling behind it, but what I want you to know is if you can make this happen, everybody gets to see your vision. Everybody get to understand you have a goal in life and you was brought here to complete it. If that means you have the same way you sacrificed funds to make sure that this get done, sacrifice your feelings of asking people to give you money to get this done. Because in time, it'll do more than what anybody will realize in the future. You got to remember, we're living in an era. To me, I look at this is our era. And the same way we look at the Harlem Renaissance or any era where people were fighting against something, this is what you're doing in this era. Show up, show out, and ask them people for this money so that you can actually make this project come to pass because it's important. Know that this is not just your legacy, but this is a movement. Even after you're gone, this will be here for somebody to pick up the same way we are looking at what's my man named Stan Lee. Just same way we looking at Marvel and all of this stuff. This is your legacy. Your kids will live off this. Other people's kids will pick up this comic book later on 10, just say 50 years from now, and be able to say, man, this is one of the best comic books I've ever read. I need you to understand. You asking right now in the moment is for them to be able to see this in the future. And I'm proud of you. From
Right.
me to you, I want you to know truly, I am proud of you because Do you know, one, you have just shared your journey of being an author with many that don't understand what sacrifice is. You wanted to have fun. You said, you know what, forget the fun for what I want to see or what I'm built for. And you're seeing it now. You're seeing some of the fruit of that labor at the moment. But you're gonna see in the future even more fruit, because guess what? It's working itself out. This means a lot to me to even be able to interview people like yourself, because everybody think that when you arrive, it was easy. They don't get to understand what your caterpillar had to go through for this butterfly to be seen. The sacrifice, the things that you had to neglect in order, and those are things that you would love to have been doing. But in order to see the thing that's most important done, you had to sacrifice. Sacrifice your feelings. Get on Kickstarter. If you will, reach out to and he probably will get me for this, but reach out to Everett. Look up the CEO of Kickstarter. He looked like you. But I mean by that, he black. Reach out to him and just say, look, is it any way that I can learn more about how I can actually make this thing that I'm creating work better on Kickstarter? But continue to do what you're doing, because you're making steps towards your legacy. If you will, go back into schools and talk about what it's like to be an artist, an author who had to sacrifice. You can go into colleges and speak right now. How old are you?
I'm 32.
You can go back into these places and tell them what it's like to be an author and inspire other kids to do just like you're doing, and believe in their dream, believe in their vision, because you have that. You are actually living that. And you're actually making money off of it now. Where at one point you weren't making no money, you're making money. Congratulations. And anything that I possibly can do to help push your vision forward, as you probably have noticed, I post. I shot your post out. You gonna tell you why I repost certain stuff? I want to see you win. I
I
promise you I do. I'm gonna see you win. Not I want to see. I'm gonna see you win. You gotta, yeah, look, I'm a fan. Not just a fan, I'm a brother who, hey, gonna do whatever I possibly can do to pour into you, to let you know, don't stop. Go on Kickstarter, get that money from them people. If other projects have become big because they ask for money, why not yours? And before I let you go, I do want to tell you, thank you. Last thing before we go, I want you to do two things. Give me a word of wisdom for anybody who is starting a project, just a word of wisdom. And then last, tell them where they can find your comic book so they can actually look, purchase this, and how we can pour into you by supporting you.
Okay, I got you. Um, One thing that I can like truly say as far as like my journey to give like words of wisdom to you or anybody that's that's watching this as well is that the fact that I don't want to say enjoy the journey. I don't want to say that though, but like that's not gonna be like what I'm gonna say to close it out though. But like it is a journey, like you know what I mean, and it's something that's going to take time, and really like the one thing that I feel like anybody that's trying to get into this is that like we need patience.
Mhm.
You gotta have patience, and you gotta take time to learn. You gotta study. You know what I mean? You gotta uh, you know like there's a lot that goes into it. But my words of wisdom is that like no one should you know stop you from believing in yourself. You know what I mean? I really feel like, and this is something that's like actually within Battle Cheese that like I don't want to spoil the scene, but there's no greater power than your own mind.
Mm.
So uh, I want to spoil that scene so bad, but I can't.
Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and
I
do it.
can't.
Look, It'll be worth. It'll be worth it.
Can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't spoil that scene. But I can say that it involves so like how the chi reincarnates. He goes through multiple lifetimes. This is something revolving around his first lifetime, and so oh no, I can't do that. I can't do that though. But all I can say is just that because of where they I can say that because of like how shut off um this version of the chi was from the rest of the world, and that they were locked behind something, and you know what I mean. There is no greater power than his own mind, and because of the power that he withheld in his own mind, it reached something greater
Mm,
that gave him the power that he needed to free his people.
mm.
You know what I mean? So I can't spoil it a hundred
It's
percent,
okay.
but but that's one of the big things about Battle Chi. That's one of the big messages. That's just like there's no greater power than your own mind, and so yeah. And as far as like where to find me, you can find me on TikTok as under Battle Chi. You can also find me on Instagram as Battle Chi Comics. I'm on YouTube as Battle Chi Comics. I got my website. You'll probably have all my links and everything, I'm assuming. So I got my website. You can find me on there. You can order books off of there, or you can order books right off the TikTok shop. Uh, all that kind of stuff. Though, I also just want to say I really do appreciate this interview. I like doing interviews. I love. I'm a yapper. You know what I mean. So I love talking. I love talking about the things that I'm passionate about. I also love hearing about the things that other people are passionate about. All that kind of stuff, though, and um, yeah, no, this made my weekend. Like, man, just like hearing the words that you were saying and everything. I got a bit more of like inspiration, you know what I mean, from the interview as far as like things that I can do, moving forward, and how like as far as like taking people's money, you know what I mean.
Make people money.
There's that, and then the whole like workshop. That's another thing that I took from it too, though, because I was like, you know what, yeah, you're right. I could do workshops. I've been told that before, but I've been kind of like, I don't know, but like,
Man,
bro,
get
like,
out there. You
you know,
special, bro.
I appreciate that.
So, my name is Carlos Walker. This is Art and Hustle, Black Authors Matter, and this is my main man, Battle Chi. Isaac, it is an honor